In this video, we're going to create some UI elements so that when we die, it displays a game over, tells us we can press R to restart, and then if we press R, it restarts. So let's get to work. Alright, welcome to video 10. Right now, when our player's lives hit 0, the spawner stops, the player disappears, and the game just sits there. We need a way to tell the player that the game is over and let them try again without having to quit the game entirely and then reopen it. So let's get started. Alright, in our hierarchy, we're gonna right click, choose UI canvas, and we're going to go ahead and add a text mesh pro element to it. If for some reason it shows up outside of here, you can just drag it into your canvas. Just try to make sure you have canvas selected when you do this. I should have said that in the beginning. I apologize. So this is going to be our game over text. So let's go ahead and rename that text element to game over text. Why didn't it type? Let's try this again. Game over text. There we go. We're going to change the text in the text component in the inspector to say game over. Let's see how it displays. It's kind of small there, so let's go ahead and make it bold. We're going to go ahead and increase the size of it to, let's go with 60. Nope. Let's go with 150. There we go. Now we need to take this and just 150 might be too big, but let's see. Nah, it'll be fine. Alright, we're gonna fit this box around the words, and let's go ahead and make our anchor point in the center there, and we're gonna zero this out just like so. So zeroed out, it's pretty far over to the right, so let's take our X position and just move it over to the left. Minus 370 looks like a nice number. There we go. Now the player knows they got a game over. If you wanted to, you could change some other elements like the color and make it red so it really just stands out as a bad thing. It's really a design choice. It's going to be up to you. I'm going to go ahead and leave mine red because I like this really bright red over the black background. It kind of pops out. Let's see, what else do we need to do? I guess while we're here, we can add our restart text. So click on game over text and just press Control D so we have all our prep work done. We're going to obviously make this one. Let's go ahead and make this one a little bit darker of a green. Something like that. We're gonna obviously shorten the text, so we'll go 75, which means we're gonna have to adjust this X position again. Let's go with, but in our text box, we're gonna say press R to restart. So you can see it's still off center, so let's go back to the left. So we need to move this down below our game over text. Minus 300x minus 162 on the Y. And so let's rename our game over text 1 to restart text. And then go back to our scene view, press Control S to save. We obviously don't want these displaying while we're playing, so go ahead and select the game over text, hold Control on your keyboard, select the restart text, and in the inspector you have this little checkbox at the top center. Go ahead and press on that to hide them, because we only want them appearing when we lose all our lives. So with that all done, let's open up our UI manager and get some coding. with our UI manager open, we're going to need to add a few new variables. These are going to be under the header game over UI. So these are just text references to the text. We'll have to be adding them in once we save our work. It's going to pop up in the UI Manager Inspector. We'll have to apply those text objects into those spots. So in order to create the game over sequence, we're going to need to create a new public method. So we can just take our stuff and do this. And so what we're going to do is public game, and when the game over sequence starts, it's going to set these to true, which means that this checkbox we did to hide them. So right now it's set to false because it's off. If we click the check mark, it'll be set to true and the checkbox will appear. So false, true. So all it's going to do is just turn that checkbox on for both the game over text and the restart. Excuse me. Let's see here. While we're here in our UI manager, we didn't save it, so I guess we can go ahead and save it and just add those in now so we have them. Then we'll go back to our code. We'll add the game over here to game over, the restart to restart. In order to really get this working, we need something to listen for the R key being pressed. So let's right click on our hierarchy, click on create empty, and we're going to name this game manager. Make sure that its transform is zeroed out, and then I pressed F just to photo, so I wasn't in the canvas anymore. I could see the camera. You're really not going to see anything we're going to do to the game manager in screen. All this thing is going to do right now is it's going to just listen for if we press the R key. So let's right click in our scripts folder, create mono behavior script, name this game manager. Click on the game manager once the script is done compiling. Alright, click on game manager and then drag the game manager over to it. Right now you don't see anything because we haven't coded anything, so go ahead and open that up. And so first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a new Unity using component, and we're going to access this time scene management. This scene management namespace is required for anything related to levels or scenes that you're loading inside of Unity. So if you're loading or restarting a game, you're going to need loading levels or restarting a game, then you're going to need this namespace in there. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add a private boolean, and it's going to be automatically set to false to start with. It's going to be checking to see if we're at a game over spot. The next thing we're going to do is we're in our update function, we're going to add an if check. And so it's going to say if game over is equal to true, and we input the key code R. So if we press the R on our keyboard, it's going to say scene manager load scene 0. So 0 is the default level. So if we go to edit, let's see, where is it? There we go. If we go to file, build profiles, we'll create a build profile real quick. This is a Windows, add it, and so give it a second. We have our scene list, so scene 0, right? We have that 0 there, that's its scene identifier, and so we have this sample scene that we're working in right there. So, but we'll get into more of that again in project 2, which we'll discuss probably at the end of in the last video for this series here. Where are we? Oh yeah, so here, so it's gonna load scene 0, which is this default scene that's loaded, and then we need a new public or a new custom public method we're going to call it game over, and really it's just going to set game over to true. So next thing we're going to do is in our player controller, we're going to make some changes here. So if lives is less than 0 right here, then we're going to say GameManager dot game. Oh, why is that not showing up? That should show up. Oh, you know why? Because I didn't put a reference to the. So up here we're gonna say private GameManager manager, and then we need to put that down here so we can just really copy one of these references from the start and just paste it underneath, and then just change it. So this should be Game Manager, and then here is our lowercase or camel case reference to the Game Manager, like that. There we go. Now we come down here and we can come over here and say GameManager dot game over. Alright. So if all this works properly, then I should be able to get a game over, press the R key, and then it restarts. So let's test it out. Let's see how fast I can die in this game. Alright, so it stopped, but it didn't trigger the text. Why didn't it trigger the text? Strange. That's saved. All that is saved. I figured that would have worked, but it did not. So let's try something different. Let's do a few if statements. If UI manager is not equal to null, then we're going to run the game over sequence, and then if game manager is not equal to null, let's see if this works just to test it out. Then we're gonna say game manager dot game over. So what I'm testing out is now I'm just checking to see if it's gonna even, if it's gonna look to see if the UI manager and the game manager are not equal to null. I think it's because I missed this game over sequence, which is why I didn't start it. But it probably flagged it to true. So what should happen now is it's gonna automatically flag this true. It's gonna automatically then it's gonna start this game over sequence. And so let's see what happens from here. And just to make it fast, we're gonna set our player lives to 1. Is it setting it to true? Let's see. So here's what we're gonna do. I want to see if it's setting it to true. So let's go to UI manager. No, game manager. We're gonna make this a public boolean. And I want to see if it's switching it to true first. Game over true. You know what? It's not setting that active, and I wonder why. did notice that too. So now that I think about it, I wonder why. But let's go ahead and click on Game Manager so we can see what happens when I die. So it is setting it to true. So that's not the Game Manager. It's something with this. So what happens if I press R? If I press R, it resets. It's just not. Okay. So everything is working except for this part right here. For some reason, these are not displaying. So let's look at our code. Trying to figure out what's going on. So let's see here. Let's add a debug.log. So we're using a debug.log to check to see. We're gonna type in game over called. And so what this is gonna check is if this method is being called, then we know the issue is in the code, and it'll display it here in the console. That would mean that the issue was somewhere else, and I don't know what that somewhere else would be, because Game Manager is being called and everything is hooked up in our UI. So let's see what happens. Move around, move up, blah blah blah. Hit a ship. Alright. So the issue is this is not being called. So see here in the console, there's nothing appearing. I mean, I can still come in here, I press R, restart it, but for some reason that game over sequence is not being called. Whoops. Because it would show up here if it is. So the issue is the code. So what is it in the code? There's a star there and a yellow line there, which means I didn't save it because I'm a knucklehead. So that was the issue, is I forgot to save the script. Always save your script. So now, if I die, everything should work just fine. And there it is. That was the issue. Simply didn't save the script. So everything works. There we go. And we are all set. In the next video, we'll do some more menu stuff. So our UI stuff. We'll do like a quick main menu for it. That way we can create a new scene and then practice switching the scenes between. And yeah, so that'll be what we'll do. Until then, keep learning, keep building. I'll see you in the next video.